Hi, good morning everyone, or good day everyone. Cappy here, Studio on 7, another lovely warm day in Taiwan. A little bit cooler after we had a thunder shower on Thursday early morning. Friday today, time to kick off a demonstration, and I've made it a close-up now, a lot closer onto the paper here, of doing rocks. This one is a lot closer than before, so I've got a couple of pieces of paper. This is the 300 gram cotton watercolor paper that I'm using, and we're working with watercolors, which I have on the side here. You're not going to be able to see them, I don't think. It doesn't look like it in the video here. You can just see the outer edge over here. Anyway, let's get started on doing a rock just using one shade of watercolor. You could do this in acrylics as well, and what I'm doing is I'm using yellow ochre, and I just do a basic kind of rock shape here. So I've got quite a lot of water and paint on here. I'm going to give my paper a teeny tiny squirt of water. There's just a bit of water on this paper, not a lot, and using yellow ochre and forming the shape of a rock. So we'll just give this rock a little bit of form. Now we've got to identify the light source. Which side is the light coming from? So in this case, let's do it coming from the top left onto the rock. So that's going to be the lightest part of the rock. So we need to clean the brush off, and I need some tissue paper here. Clean the brush off, get it wet, and start to lift off some of the color. But bear in mind, a rock has a shape, so you need to start shaping the rock at the same time and giving this rock face some kind of shape. Okay, and so what I'm doing is I'm lifting out watercolor with a brush that's wet, and you need to clean the brush off after each pass, because the stuff sticks to your brush. So what I'm ending up with is I've got a darker area in the center, which may be a dent in the rock, or definitely not a spot that's getting any light that you end up with, and a bit of light coming in down at the bottom, just to emphasize that it's not, this rock is kind of like, it's got two sunlit faces to it, two areas that are getting the sunlight. So this is one using watercolor. Okay, you can neaten up those areas, or you can take a pen and then work around the edge. Let's just dry up any excess water. You can also lift out with tissue paper. You can lift out some of the areas as well, and then where you need to darken it up, you just get some extra paint onto your brush and come in and add a bit of yellow ochre to that. The yellow, I try to use as little water as possible when going back in again, so the brush must be a little bit of a dry brush coming into this. So just working some of that dark back into this. And yeah, there are spots that will also be where the sun is giving it a miss. Some darker spots. What you can do now is you can go back with either a darker brown, use Van Dyke brown, or you can use the pen to put in cracks that are visible on the rock. I'm going to let that dry, so that is one way. And then obviously you want to give this painting a bit of, so we just add maybe a touch of color in here in terms of what may be grass around the edges. And then we can darken up for a bit of a shadow at the bottom. Although the sun is coming from the top there, we can give this grass shadow from the rock just by darkening off the grassy area, and then also this side here darkening, getting that a lot darker with that yellow ochre and green. I've made this into the really dark side. If you really want to, just zhuzh up that dark side. Like I said, you can add some darker brown just to emphasize the corner of that rock. Okay, effectively only really having used one color in terms of the main part of the rock and then going darker. As you want to, you can add other colors to it. In this case, I'm using a darker brown just to put in some darker areas that appear on the rock face. Yeah, so I know it looks like a split apple, but we're going to let that dry, and then I will revisit it maybe in a later video, just to come back and recap. Okay, so that's one way of doing a rock. Let's get another piece of paper, and this time we'll do the card trick. Okay, so again, I'm going to start, and I'll use a flat brush for this one. I'm going to start with my yellow ochre. Now, when doing this, wet but not too wet, and put in a kind of like a shape that you may think you like, or something that you're painting, if you're painting from a photo. And obviously when I do this, I'm not doing photorealistic type of rocks, so I'm not going to be worrying too much, but you can have a look on the picture and make sure that certain of the aspects of the picture are correct. So adding a nice dark brown to this one, and I will put something else into this as well, which is my grey, which I'm going to have to quickly get from a tube and put in before this dries out. I'll just have to find my watercolours. Love my watercolours. Right, here they are. I don't even use all of them. Olive green I want. There's my Payne's grey. That's the one I'm looking for. One Payne's grey. It's a nice alternative to just black, and I'm going to go into that and pull that over the top. I think maybe we should add a touch of indigo into this as well, so we'll just pop that in. It may not show through, but yeah. Okay, light coming from the right hand side. So the rocks at the top are going to be the lightest, and after you do this, you'll notice that the texture of the paper plays a role here as well. You can even leave some of that, like that piece there, you can leave it like that, and that's a dark area. You can still scrape it, but it's a darker spot on that. Okay, let's really get some light onto this front part here. Okay, what you can do then is you can take your round brush and then just add some highlights, round off the edges. Where it's sticking out like that in this area here, round it off. Can even make it lighter. So the sun is definitely on that side, nothing on this side, and yeah, just round this off here. You can add in some of that darker tone, and then if we let this dry off, there is a split between the top and the bottom, and if you had to, if we take let me see, if we take this brush here, fan brush, and we put some water onto it, let's just make sure that it's clean. Still got the greeny blue from yesterday on here. What we do, you can You can get a line going through here, much lighter, as if this was sitting in water with a reflection below. So now to lift this out, obviously we need to do as we did before. You're going to use water, make a pass, and clean the brush off every time you go through. And that gives the idea that there may be water in the front. And if you really want to be a little bit fancy, then you can add some blue to that, or the yellow, the greeny is pretty green blue, yeah. Just hint at some water. And this can give the effect that this is now sitting in water. Even pull a little bit through in the center there. Just be careful that you don't pull through on the bottom colors here. You may want to clean this brush off and then pull through for, try and get a clear a break on that. Okay, so that is another way of doing rocks. Obviously you need to, the most important thing is study and look at rock pictures, photographs, go outside, take photos of rocks and give it a bash yourself. Gotta get this right. So that's using lighter color down first with the dark colors over the top, and then coming out and looking like that, just adding in a bit of additional goods onto that. Now on this I'm going to take my black pen and I'm going to still doesn't seem to want to work. Just clean that off and just and this does not have to be a straight line at all. You can mix it up, highlight the edge, and in doing this as well, give your rock shape. so it takes shape, not just a flat rock. This is very important when doing a bit of artwork. You need to make sure that your brush strokes are going in the direction that you wish your artwork to be, or the look of the rock or the face of the rock. Wherever that's going to be, make sure that if you're painting, paint this way to give you that curvature of the rock. In this case, paint this way to give you the back curvature of the rock. We could even, just add in some detail that's going to accentuate that curve, so that when you look at it, you actually are seeing almost a 3D piece. Okay, so those are two scraped and used with a brush. Okay, then color wise, you can use a variety of colors. Now if I take, let's just get back to my flat brush. If I take, I'm going to go with a blue. It doesn't really look like blue, yeah. It's more grey blue because I've mixed everything up into it. If we want true granite, we're going to go with this blue and grey. Payne's grey over the top being the dark colour, getting that in over the top. Let's try and get it into a nice shape here. Just add in a bit more blue into the mix, and then I'm going to try and get some of this indigo in here as well. Okay, now scraping again. This time let's do it give it some nice odd shapes, and just make sure that we actually clean it off, because if you don't clean it off, you end up making a mess on your paper. So, okay, I'm going to leave that like that now, and I want to bring just round off the edges. So, I'm going to go dark at the bottom, so obviously there's less sun down there. Round off this piece. Again, you can lift out with your brush at this stage when it's still a bit wet. If you want to work as quickly as possible, in getting We want to work as quickly as possible in order to get this part of it done. Okay, I'm going to put in a tree just to give it a little bit of something extra. So I'm using my round brush, yellow ochre, and start up at the top and bring it down in here. And just work it out as if these were roots coming out, sticking out over the top. And then I'm going to use find it. Yeah, we'll go with this one. Going to use this. So now I need some more of my green. I need to go and buy some green this weekend. It's a really nice out of the tube color, Winsor & Newton olive green. That's a pretty nice middle of the road tone, and I'm putting some foliage onto this tree. And remember, it's not a lollipop, so try and vary popping your foliage in onto this tree. Don't keep it all round as if it were a lollipop, because it isn't. Okay, so we need to get some of that dark shade in there. Okay, and now get some darker tone onto the tree itself. Use a bit of Payne's grey, dry it off a bit, and just stroke in some lines to build up a bit of texture onto this tree. Okay. And again, if you use your pen, you can get in some lines when it works, just to define your tree shape a bit better. I'm just doing it very quickly now for demo purposes, but if you're doing it with a brush, you can use a script liner to get in this type of detail. Obviously the larger the picture as well, the easier it's going to be to define your tree. Mix up the lines, don't make it a straight line, jagged, give it edges, don't have to put it everywhere. Right, so that's number 3. Just going with a darker color, and you can play around with different colors. You can use orange, okay, and we are in the 5th month, 20. So, 3 differing pieces. Let me put that side by side. And get this one in underneath so that we have a view of the 3 almost together. Just get that using the card, and you can use an old credit card, Costco card, macro card, whatever, Walmart card, I guess, anything that's expired, use. In this case, I think this was some real estate agent's card that I used, cut up a little bit thinner than my Costco card, which is a lot nicer to use, the expired card. And in this bottom one, I used a brush and the pen in order to do that. No scraping on that. So this kind of thing is possible. You just need to practice. This has taken me quite a few, 4 or 5 years to get to be where I am at the moment. And by no means am I an expert. I just like to share the technique, and I teach it to my kids at school. So I hope you learned something from that, and you can go and try it out with your watercolors. You can try it out with acrylic as well. I didn't do acrylic. I might do a separate video again for acrylic. And yeah, go and have fun. If you are under lock and key at the moment in terms of the world situation, do this. It'll keep you happy. Have a great day and keep arting. Cheers from Cappy.